The two have produced actually nearly identical numbers in terms of yards and total touchdowns this season. But our friends at Caesars list Lamar Jackson with much shorter odds at plus 275. Watson is tied with Christian McCaffrey and Aaron Rodgers at 8-1. So you look at Deshaun Watson, you look at Lamar Jackson, you look at all the different possibilities that are here. I'll start with you. Right now, if you were to cast a vote for MVP of the league, who would you give it to?
Russell Wilson. And I know what happens is when things start to happen in the recent games, we remember those things. So we remember the spin move. We remember the New England Patriots coming in undefeated and Lamar Jackson tearing them up. But Russell Wilson has been the best player in the NFL all year. And I feel like I learned more about him in this MVP candidacy in adversity against the San Francisco 49ers because he did fumble, he did throw a late pick, but when you gave him another chance, he made the type of plays that you need to see. And what Russell Wilson and Lamar Jackson are giving us, though, that we don't normally get in a 16-game NFL season, is Heisman-like moments. Yeah. Moments we can point to and say to ourselves, this is when Russell Wilson, this is when Lamar Jackson staked their claim on the MVP trophy.
That matters. And I think that play last week, while I got in arguments on Twitter saying that one play isn't going to win you the MVP, no, we're emotional. Human beings are emotional. So those things are going to stand on our mind. We're never going to forget that play. We're never going to forget that play when Russell threw it in the back corner of that end zone on that night game. That was fantastic. But I think that we're changing the rules on Lamar in a bit of a way, because you think about offenses that have been this efficient. We're talking about all offenses where the quarterbacks won the MVP. So last year, the Chiefs, their offense scored on more than 50% of their possessions, just like this Ravens offense. MVP goes to Patrick Mahomes. In 2007, when the Patriots did it, MVP went to Tom Brady. It just feels odd that this looks different, and this is tough because you always, when you're doing this, you kind of end up taking away from the other guy. Russell's great. I don't want to take anything away from him, but your argument is that he played poorly, and that still made you have confidence in him because he kept getting chances. I'm not sure that we can say the same thing about Lamar.
Another part is this,
there
though.
There have been few games where Lamar played poorly.
We look back to it. Russell Wilson hasn't had a 3-interception game like Lamar did against the Pittsburgh Steelers. He didn't get blown out like Lamar did against the Cleveland Browns.
Well, most valuable is not best. And
it's part of it.
It's worth pointing out that Russell Wilson has been in the league for a decade, and Lamar Jackson has started 16 games.
Sure.
So the direct comparison between the two of them is not fair to Lamar Jackson, except that we're talking about the MVP of this season. What is your sense of which direction that is headed?
Well, I think Wilson still, but I mean, Dominique's point is a good one. You can't. Unfortunately, you take one side and people think you're banging on the other one, right? Like, I mean, I love Lamar Jackson. I think the problem is only one guy can win it. So I look at Wilson, you look, what are the tiebreakers, right? I think Wilson's got less to work with.
Yes.
I mean, if you watch that game on Monday night, it just seems like, I mean, Jadeveon Clowney had a monster game, but it's not a defense that has been very dominant this year.
Okay, the Ravens defense has not been good either this year. And when you say less to work with, look at the playmakers that he has versus Lamar Jackson. Like, Hollywood is a playmaker who has missed several games. Hollywood Brown's missed some time. He's in several games. Ingram is the running back who is, I mean, he's not like a world beater running back. And you look over there, we got DK Metcalf, who's balling. We got Tyler Lockett, who is fantastic.
So here's the other thing. You say those things, but coming into this year, thinking of having a number one receiver was a problem in Seattle because you lose Doug Baldwin. Tyler Lockett becomes what he becomes because on the second play, when Russell Wilson makes people miss and gets outside the pocket, he finds Tyler Lockett. When you draft DK Metcalf, you look at his numbers and you say, oh my goodness, this guy should be top 10. He falls because no one's seen him play.
Your argument is that Russell is making
those guys better.
That's a part of it.
It's hard to disagree with that, but I mean, it's an impossible argument to settle. But I'm partial to what we're seeing from Lamar, in part because it's different and it's special. And the idea that he is tied with Christian McCaffrey is nonsense.
The other piece of this, these are just the odds.
Right, the odds.
The piece of this that I think also should not be forgotten is that sometimes with MVP awards, and last year is an exception to it, it feels like it's the next guy's turn.
Right.
Russell Wilson has been a great player for a long time, and he hasn't had his turn, and maybe there's a feeling Lamar's got a lot of years left to do this.
I don't buy into.
I think some people vote that way, but that's not
I'm saying I don't think that's the way it should be given out, but I believe it happens.
But I mean, it's a narrative award, and you got to give it to the protagonist of the season, and you can argue who that is. I think it's Lamar.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports and analysis, download the ESPN app, and for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus.